All right, I see the Zoom room is filling up, and as it does, go ahead and let us know who you are and where you're from, and put that in the chat box. Kevin Lashane has already beat me to the punch. One of our volunteers down there at the Aiken Augusta chapter. Good to see you again, Kevin. Welcome everybody into Football Letter Live. We have a great program lined up tonight. We welcome letterman Alan Zemaitis and Garry Gilliam, and they're going to talk about their time on the gridiron at Penn State. Welcome to Roger Williams, class of 73, and Pat Nicolano and Graham Miller. Graham, how are you? I hope that you were doing well. I think about you often, and just keep fighting, Graham. Dave Snyder, class of 83, John Hess, class of 87. A lot of familiar names. Joe Clifford tuning in, class of 72.
It should be familiar too.
He is familiar. Cliff Montgomery down there in Bluebell. Good to see you, sir. And Russ Mitchell up in Syracuse. And Mike from right here in Happy Valley. Mike and Linda. Sorry, I don't want to forget to mention Linda. Gary, class of 76 down in Boca Raton. Gary, good to see you. I would take some Boca Raton weather today here in Happy Valley. It was below 50 for most of the day today here in State College after just a gorgeous week last week. Unbelievable early November week that we had here with temperatures into the 70s. Dan from East Hampton, New Jersey. Tom out there in Sharpsville. Tom, good to see you. Hope you're keeping everybody in line out there at Penn State Shenango, Tom. Judy, good to see you. Out there in Orange County, California. We will be getting started in just a minute. A great program lined up. John Black is here. Alan Zemaitis is here. Garry Gilliam is here. Great show lined up in just a moment or two. Where else would you rather be than a Zoom full of Penn Staters? I'm Paul Clifford, CEO of the Penn State Alumni Association, and welcome to Football Letter Live. Tonight, we welcome two impressive Penn State football lettermen who have had an impact both on and off the field. We're going to talk to Alan Zemaitis and Garry Gilliam in just a couple minutes. As always, we're encouraging you to share your questions. Go ahead and use the Q&A tab on the bottom of your Zoom screen, or if you are following us on Facebook and watching on Facebook Live, go ahead and put your questions in the comments out there. This program is being closed captioned. You can activate your closed captions on Zoom by clicking the closed caption tab at the bottom, or following the instructions that are in the chat box. John, how are you tonight?
I'm fine, Paul. Hope you're the same.
I'm doing well. I'm hoping for a victory this weekend. A lot going on in college football though this week. A lot of news. First, sad news about Journey Brown.
Yes, indeed it is, Paul. It's a shame. Journey Brown announced this week that he has to retire from football after a diagnosis of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. It's a thickening of the heart muscle, and that interferes with the pumping of the left ventricle. It's an unfortunate medical condition that has required him to take this step. Journey says the pain of not being able to play the game I love anymore hurts. However, I can walk away from the game knowing that I gave my all at every practice, on every down, and in the locker room every day. Coach Franklin said Journey's one of the most popular players on the team, and he's handled this unbelievably well, and I know he will be extremely successful whatever he decides to do. So we're very sorry to have to pass on that news to anybody who didn't already know it.
Absolutely, yeah. Just a sad end to what was a great career here at Penn State, a great high school career here in the state of Pennsylvania, and got a fantastic end to the season last year out at the Cotton Bowl offensive MVP. So all
Absolutely.
our best wishes to Journey Brown.
We absolutely send out our best wishes to him.
Yeah. John, I was at the Board of Trustee meeting today, and Anna Camden and PJ Mustafer were there. You know, there's a lot of reports that happen in these committee meetings at the Board of Trustees. But when students come to present, it's all eyes on the students. And boy, they had a captive audience today talking about how they're using their positions as student athletes and their platforms as student athletes to take a stand for each other and to take a stand for minoritized communities here in our country. They were talking about the Penn State United program.
Yeah, it's a wonderful slogan, I think, that they've adopted this year. Penn State United, which is on the back of their helmets, along with the patches of interlocking diverse hands in blue and white on the, well, you've got it right behind you now on the Pennsylvania outline. And that those shirt patches and the helmet patches point out the slogan that the players have adopted for this year.
Yeah, you know, it's great. It's great to see the increased awareness amongst our student athletes. It's great to see them, you know, speaking out for equality and for equal rights and for each other. And I think it's great that the university is standing behind them. You know, it is very rare that the Penn State football uniform gets altered in any way. And so to add a patch or to add a sticker to the helmet, it has to be something big.
Well, it certainly is very big in this particular time of raising awareness and looking for everybody's benefits as diversity.
Yeah, I was thinking the other day, I was watching the Big Ten Network and, you know, talk about changing the football uniform or recognizing somebody on the helmet. There was a great special about Adam Talaferro on the 20th anniversary of his injury and his ultimate comeback to Beaver Stadium. But I remember they had the 43 stickers on the back of that helmet. Did you happen to catch that special, John?
I certainly did, and I heartily recommend it to any Penn Stater who did not catch it. It will be shown again, I believe, tomorrow afternoon and possibly several other times on the Big Ten Network. Check the Big Ten Network guide, but it's a very inspiring hour program.
Absolutely, yeah. Adam is just he's an inspiration. It was I was sitting there and my eyes were sweating a little bit as I watched that, just to see his family go through you know, the elation of seeing their son playing college football and living his dream, to the horror of that kind of injury,
Right.
to the comeback, right? And seeing him face adversity.
The thing about it, the comeback and what he has done with his life and what an impact he's making now today, despite that terrible injury.
Absolutely. Well, John, the Gridiron Lions, they head out to Lincoln for a showdown with Nebraska, two teams still searching for their first win. Something's going to give. What do you see the keys to the game being?
I don't know if I should announce any, given my poor performance last week, thinking that was going to be our big turnaround for the rest of the season.
Right.
But yes, we've got two marquee teams here that unfortunately are each seeking their first win this particular season. Got to remember that this is the season home opener for Nebraska, because that Wisconsin game they were supposed to play, it was canceled a couple of weeks ago because of Wisconsin's problem with the COVID cases. And of course, there were about 8 more cases in FBS football announced this week, including one in the Big Ten. Unfortunately, the Maryland team that we played last week had to cancel its game with Ohio State this week because of COVID cases that have cropped up on the Terrapins team. But we've got 55, I think, total games now in the FBS that have been postponed or even canceled just since everything got started at the end of August. Okay, but back to looking at this game out in Memorial Stadium, which is a great stadium to play in, and unfortunately will not be packed as it has been for, I can't remember exactly how many years, but it holds the record for continuous sellouts every game, every season for a couple of decades. And they are wonderful fans in Nebraska. They're very wonderful to the opposing team, as well as obviously very avid in support of their home team. But I think the keys for Penn State is going to be, first of all, controlling the running of the quarterbacks that Nebraska has. Adrian Martinez and Luke McCaffrey, the two of them, really are the bulk of the running game for Nebraska this year. And they have one good other runner, Dedrick Mills, but the quarterbacks have been doing most of the running. And that's the first thing we've got to do is control them. Obviously, blunt their passing attack as well. But I think that's the real key is going to be stopping the running of those quarterbacks. At the same time, I think Penn State has to get more carries and yardage from our three young running backs to take some of the rushing duties off of Sean Clifford. We've certainly got to get better play from our offensive line and opening holes and protecting the quarterback. And then I think we need some quicker decisions, a quicker pass release from Clifford himself on short yardage passes so that we can play some complementary offensive football. And I think those are the things we've got to do if we're going to emerge victorious at Nebraska on Saturday.
Well, John, I hope we can emerge with the victory. It's a tough place to go under normal circumstances. Under these circumstances, it's probably going to be even that much tougher. But hopefully the Nittany Lions can pull out a victory and come back here to Happy Valley. And I know I'll be cheering them on from my home. And we'll see if we can get this turned around.
You bet.
Yeah. Well, hey, we got a busy show tonight. Let's go ahead and welcome in Alan Zemaitis. I can tell you a little bit about Alan. He's a Penn State letterman and a current assistant football coach at Susquehanna University. He's been on the coaching staff down there for 8 years. He joined the coaching staff prior to the 2012 season. He originally worked with defensive backs in 2015 and began coaching cornerbacks while also serving as the special teams coordinator. He's also leading a great community service initiative at Susquehanna, and we're going to talk to him a little bit about that. But you might remember Alan from his playing days as a defensive back with the Nittany Lions from 2001 to 2005. He was a Jim Thorpe Award semifinalist given to the nation's top defensive backs in both 2004 and 2005. He was a three-time All-Big Ten selection and was drafted in the fourth round of the 2006 NFL draft by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Alan is a Rochester, New York native and played a little bit for the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the Canadian Football League as well. So, Alan, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, John, for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Great.
Now, let's start, Alan, let's start right at the very beginning. How did you become a Penn State Nittany Lion?
Well, my dream was always to play big-time college football like many others. But I was one day I was going to the gym with my best friend, and up on the window, my high school coach picked up a application for a Penn State camp. So I said I didn't really know too much about Penn State. My dad knew about Penn State. He knew about Joe Paterno and the whole tradition, but I just thought it was a unique opportunity to just go out and play football and hopefully get noticed. And we went out there, and I believe it was Frank Ganner. He seen me, and it was ironic. The last day of the camp, I didn't talk to no coaches. This is when I was like a sophomore. Okay, they didn't talk to no coaches. Last day of the camp, my cousin was trying to say, let's skip that day and just, call your dad to come pick us up early. And I was like, nah. I was like, we paying this money. We should finish it out. That day, that last day, that's when Fran Ganner seen me and playing running back, ironically. And then I went to go get one of those recruiting letters, and then they asked me to come back, and then I was really playing DB. And it was one particular camp. I was a sophomore. I think that was my freshman year, actually. Then I was a sophomore, and then I got bumped up with the older kids. Now, in this particular camp had all the top players in the country that they were recruiting. And I just balled that whole camp over there, covering guys, playing wide receiver, that type of thing. And I remember seeing, we call him Scrap Tom Bradley, the Pittsburgh Steelers DB coach. Shout out to him. He's doing a fantastic job. But he's seen me, and he was trying to, check my temperature real quick. He said something slick, and I went with the flow. But they would line everybody up in the camp and then race. And I won the fastest in the camp that year. And I got to introduce myself, where I was from, and this and that. And I came in like second or third with pro agility. And then I tore my ACL, okay, the following year at Penn State camp. Now, too many people that know me knows that. But, if you watch me play, I would be emotionally, like after a play, I would get hyped, but I wouldn't talk too much smack, because and I got hurt that day. I was balling out of control, like throughout the whole camp. And they brought up this kid that was really good that they was recruiting to demo a drill. And that got me going. I was like, okay. So I was playing wide receiver, and he came in and he was covering me, and I could jump before my ACL tear pretty high. And, I just was jogging kind of, and then went up, and he came down on my knee, and I couldn't finish out that camp. They offered me, they were saying they were going to offer me, they walked me through the Lash building that was just getting built. And every time they looked back, I was straighten up. And then when they would look forward to tour us, I would be limping, because I didn't know what was happening. I'd never experienced anything like that. And I found out I did tear my ACL. Shout out to Coach Tony Lapani. He was state champion head coach. He took me under my wing. We really didn't have a football program in the area I was currently living in, and he came to our school and put in the program, and I was able to play for him 1 year. My senior year, I came back. I went back to the camp, and they ultimately offered me then. And awesome. that type of story, that the way that went, I wasn't going anywhere else. Like when I went on trips to like Virginia Tech, Syracuse, it was just the experience. But I was 100% loyal to Penn State because they were loyal to me.
We're glad you stuck with us and came to Penn State, Alan. Brought a lot of great memories to us. Let's look at your perspective on the 2005 great season that Penn State had. Well, I remember we had to start really with the end of the 2004 season, and how that build up to 2005 probably started there with the goal line stand out at Indiana. And then the rest of the season, we ran it out. What kind of memories do you have of that, the end of that 2004 season and the momentum that created going into 2005 the following year?
Yeah, absolutely. We knew it came to a point, like we would shout out to Mike Robinson. He was my roommate. We used to just invite different players that we thought that either had leadership on the football team, or maybe was a good football player that we knew that we can count on. We would have like sit downs, at one point late in the season, because we were looking around, even though we were losing, we had cats on our team. I mean, you name it, every level on defense.
Great lineup that 2004 season, right?
Right. And then offensively, we just felt like that if Mike got the helm, even though he never really had the opportunity, we just felt like we were going to be good. And even though you look back, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, we were relying on freshman wide receivers. At the time, I was not thinking that. I wasn't thinking that. Like, hats off to that whole lineup: Justin King, Derek Williams, Deion Butler, Jordan Norwood. I'm talking about like incredible athletes, did work on the field for Penn State, like breaking records, going down some of the best players that ever play at Penn State, in my opinion. And I would argue that with anybody. That's 4 wide receivers. They came out in freshman year and they was torching, okay, all Big Ten DBs, secondaries right off the bat. And shout out to Justin King, the fact that he went both ways, came out as a true freshman, balled on offense. And he was starting in packages on defense. People forget about that. He was a two-way player and he balled on offense. He was the first one to pop off offensively out of all those great names I just said. But that's just a little side story, I guess. During that year, 2004, we just knew we had ballers. Defensively, we knew we could shut anybody down. That's one thing we knew.
As you did on that goal line stand down there very late in the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the most memorable moments playing the game of football in my life. Just from the fact that coach chose to keep me in the game. When it comes down to those last minutes, who's actually in the game, you got your coach's trust. You feel that bond. He trusts you. That I feel humbled about. And number two, the position I was on that play, I don't know if anybody have seen it. I was in between like Dan Connor and Puzzluzny. Okay. Like, and DBs, safeties feel a little bit of that when you're in close near the box, that feel, because everything is so fast in there. Right. Okay? But corners certainly don't. Okay. So when you get inserted right in the middle of, two of the college football's best linebackers. Right. And then we had Cameron Wake. Well, we call him Derek Wake. Now everybody calls him Cameron Wake now. Okay, D Wake, we had him. And then defensive line, star-studded. And then it was me, Calvin, and Chris, I believe Chris, no, I don't know if Chris Rowe was on that defense, but it was unbelievable. That took us, that in Michigan State, we felt like
right
was the role we needed. And
we were ready then for 2005.
Yeah.
So Alan, talk about the 2005 team. By the way, we just got a message in here from Tom Bradley. You mentioned him. He's a great friend. What a special person to have a privilege to coach. Tom Bradley checking in and sending you some love from Pittsburgh. Talk about the 2005 team, though. What are some of your best memories from that team? I'd have to think maybe the whiteout against Ohio State, or thinking down to the Orange Bowl in Miami.
Yeah, man, there's so many. I mean, obviously, there's personal highlights, there's team highlights. I mean, when I think about when you think about team, I think about, man, it ain't nothing like playing O State. I don't care what nobody's saying. When you go to O State or the old state come to you. Okay. The one thing, the crowd playing at Beaver Stadium, you never get the just due if you win that game because the atmosphere is so crazy. They just, of course they lost to Penn State. Of course, the atmosphere is too crazy, you know. But that game right there, that's something special to me. And even though that other people in that game really shined, and you know, all I did was cover for the most part that game. Seeing everybody ball, seeing us win as a team on a level like that, it was something so special. I always say this, okay? You know you won a big game. You know what you won a big game when after the game you can taste the mace in the air. Think about that. That's when you know you won a big game.
Okay. Well, you mentioned Calvin Lowry. We had a chat with him recently, and he had a big play early in the second quarter there, returning an interception almost for a touchdown in that Ohio State game, and the team scored then just a few plays later. You had your defensive buddy, Tamba Hali, out there at defensive end, had that sack on Troy Smith, the Heisman Trophy winner, and forced that fumble. That play still being shown on the highlight reels. Defensively, I mean, how much feeling did you have about the impact of that game, shutting down the offense and getting those turnovers and just flipping the field?
Like I said, it was amazing. I'll tell you, the Tamba play, it was. I remember that play being so long. Like you almost, you know, it's like, man, the ball's not out yet, and then all of a sudden, bam!
Paxson jumped on it, right?
Yeah, and Paxson jumped on it. Shout out to Paxson, man. They don't talk about him as much as you got to understand. It starts up front. A guy like that just taking double teams the way that he was taking them, being a bull. You've seen in the Florida State game the impact he had in that game, and then he played in the league. You know, he doesn't get talked about a lot, but he's an unbelievable player. But he played well that game as well.
Excellent. So the team ended the season with the marathon victory over Florida State in the Orange Bowl, 3 overtimes. What's going through your mind during those overtimes, and how satisfying was it to end your career with a Big Ten title, a win over Florida State, an 11-win season, and a victory in a major bowl game?
It meant a lot because, you know, it was a lot of hard work. You know, the one thing about, you know, sort of where we took the program is, you know, the accountability piece. Like when you're trying to lead and do something special, you can't be getting caught up and getting in trouble if you expect to lead. You can't not win sprints and go the hardest in these workouts if you expect to lead. And that grows you up in a way as far as a man. So, you know, it was, we always thought because it ended that way, we now know hard work really does pay off. It's an old cliche, but we, you know, my circle of friends that I talk to almost every day from Penn State, from that team, that's one thing we hold close to our heart. It actually does pay off. We have an example live and in color, and it really, and that's what happened that year. You know, Northwestern game was that's one of my favorite games as well, just from the standpoint of we looked at that game early in the summertime, saying that's perfect. Let's warm up. Let's go against a Northwestern team away. You know what I'm saying? Let's like you know, we like that. It's too easy at home. Let's go away. And look at what happened at that game. My God. And you know, but it was that old going through adversity lesson that we learned that early in that season, which we needed, to get some of the hurdles of the Big Ten to get where we ultimately got to, Orange Bowl, and going against a young Florida State team that was loaded with NFL players, young NFL players that all left early. And so it was no mistake that they got past Virginia Tech, but we thought we were playing VTech. We were already talking to VTech players, before that ACC game, championship game happened. Like, that's who we're playing. But Florida State really had some guys. I mean, that was a very physical game.
Very talented team. And of course, it was a very long game too.
Yes, yeah. I'm not a player. I'm not a player that sits on the bench. The whole game, I stand up.
Yeah.
Think about that. Like, my body's starting to, say it's time to shut down. We playing too long here, and we, constantly having to go back out. But that was a journey. That it's almost fitting that it ended that way. In some of the senior class that I went out with, we seen it all at Penn State.
You surely did. And as a senior leader and a co-captain of that team, I hope that you were standing over there right close to Joe Paterno in the waning moments, because he said it was way past his bedtime.
Yeah, they always say that, man. But they always say that. But Joe know how to get. Joe knows how to hang in there, man. He was probably all right.
He certainly was.
Gary, now you've been at Susquehanna for a while now, right? You've probably been there longer than most assistant coaches stay at one place, right? Talk a little bit about what you like about coaching at that level and kind of the stability of coaching at Susquehanna.
Well, I work for a really good boss. We just hired a new AD, again, just the institution showing their commitment to excellence. And I see a bright future with that gentleman there. But I think the institution speaks volumes, especially what we've been doing in COVID, another great example there. But as far as football wise, at the level that I'm playing, the one thing that I understand that is I really have I'm really working with the student athlete a lot. I like that. It's just not about football. And it never was all about football for me. That was more or less, that helped me learn about life and was a vehicle that I drove to learn and go through life and get other opportunities. But it's that relationship at this school. They do a really good job facilitating, and being at the level that I coach at, I have access to the student athlete like that. So, being able to work them out, I'm assistant strength and conditioning coach. I'm a special teams coordinator. I coach everybody except the O-line. And then the DB coach, I coached all four positions, nickel, dime, and I recruit those guys.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I know them, I grow them, I break them down, build them up. And we've been very successful here, and that's another thing. We took a program that only had 2 wins, and we went 10-1. And we're ranked in the top 15 in the country right now. So professionally in that regard, I'm having a good time here.
Great.
Excellent.
What are your career goals at this point? How long did you?
Well, my career goals, I would love someday to be a head coach. It really doesn't matter the level, but a chance to run my own program, that interests me. Obviously, at my alma mater, Penn State, I mean, that's the dream. You know what I'm saying? I mean, me being that I played there, had a great level of success with the jersey on my back. And then my track record right now professionally as a defensive backs coach, I mean, there's no question that would be the effort and the product that I put out on the field would be tremendous. That's what I would say about that. But that's probably the dream job, of course.
You talk about.
Go ahead, John.
Well, I was going to say, you talk about liking to work with the student athlete, not just
Yes.
an athlete per se. I understand that you're busy this fall spearheading a community service project as well down at the Susquehanna community. Can you tell us a little bit about that as a wrap up?
Yes, John, I appreciate you, man. Well, so we didn't have a season this year. Okay, so during when we had that lockdown, when everybody was at home during the springtime, I sat down and I started brainstorming. I always thought, man, that I feel like, I have a wife, I got 3 kids, I'm building a life, I got a family, and my time's taken, but I felt like I needed to do something more, that was going on with the George Floyd and then the COVID. The common denominator I've seen with all that is division, and that word, recently has been, all over the screen. But that's what I've seen during the spring is division. I feel division. What the platform that I have is I have resource to many players that have a great heart and soul and want to get out and do things. Okay. We don't have football. And I thought this is a way that we can still develop men. Okay. We can still do things together. Sport is like the great equalizer, right? But what I look at is, what if I can control that experience? Isn't it just an experience that brings people together? You know what I mean? Just like sport. So I sat down with some brilliant minds of Susquehanna. Shout out to Dr. M. Hoof, Cynthia Lazardi, and Sharif Fatim for helping me build this vision. And what I came out with a project, it's called Season of Service, SOS. That's sort of the project as far as we're here to help. And we go out in the community. We're the most diverse group in our campus. A lot of kids from Jersey and Maryland. And we want to be a living example of what it is to work together. You feel what I'm saying? And then as we're doing this work in the community, let's have some meaningful conversations with people in the community. And, some people in this, because I'm in Center, Pennsylvania. Okay. So I'm not that far from Penn State, actually. I'm under an hour. So there's not a lot of diversity. But if people, instead of seeing what the media puts out, let's show you right here, right in your backyard, and let's do some good for people. So we've set out right now, we're just under 10 events that we've done. We've taken over this beautiful playground that's been run down over time. I got a grant from the borough. They granted me $10,000 towards that project. But I just feel a lot of support from the borough to continue this type of thing. So, I just want to bring people together, understand that, character does matter, and try to live a righteous life. So just being there, starting that is very special to me at Susquehanna, and they've been having my back, since day one.
That's wonderful. That's great.
Well, Z, you're having an impact on your student athletes. You're having an impact on your community, and you're certainly swelling thy fame of dear old state. And for that, we're truly grateful. Thanks for joining us tonight on Football Letter Live.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Take care,
Thank
Alan. Good to see you. John, good to catch up with Alan Zemaitis, wasn't it?
It really is.
Well, we have another great guest coming up. We're thrilled to welcome Garry Gilliam. Gary is a Penn State letterman, played on the gridiron here from 2010 to 2013. 5-year NFL veteran, founder and CEO of The Bridge, which is a for-purpose real estate development company that acquires old properties like schools and malls and warehouses and turns them into eco-villages in the inner city. Having grown up in Harrisburg and graduating from Milton Hershey and Penn State, Gary prides himself in his hunger for knowledge and love for giving back to his community. He has multiple degrees from Penn State in business development, advertising, and psychology. And he's always shared his love for bettering our society as a whole. Again, 5 seasons in the NFL. Please welcome Garry Gilliam to Football Letter Live. Garry, how are you tonight?
I am sensational. Thank you guys for having me.
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure, Garry.
Garry, you grew up right down the road in Harrisburg, but as we were talking earlier, you didn't know too much about what Penn State football was all about. Talk about how you became a Nittany Lion.
Yeah, I didn't know much about sports in general. I just wasn't much of I played tons of sports, just never was much of a watcher or a fan. But no, my high school football coach came to me my sophomore year. He was like, "Hey, Garry, I think you've got the talent and the size to make a contribution at the next level." And he was like, "Are there maybe any conferences that you'd like to play in?" And I looked at him like, what do you mean? He's like, like Big Ten, Big East, Penn State, those type. And I was like, I don't know. So I had no idea what the conferences were. So he's like, "Here, look, here's some homework." So he would like periodically like quiz me on like, what conferences and, what have you. And I actually waited decently long to commit to Penn State. I had a few scholarships. I was looking for 3 main things. I wanted a school that my degree meant something. I didn't want to go to one of those just mainly football schools where it's known that they're not getting their work done or really earning their degree. I wanted it to be fairly close to home so that, mom and the family could come see me play. And I wanted the football program to give me a shot to play at the next level. Could have gone to like an Ivy school or one of those type schools, but then your chances of making it to the league are a little bit, lower. So
Right.
Penn State definitely checked all those boxes. And I was actually recruited and went there as a defensive end. And that was from Larry Johnson. So I remember, him coming to school and them, calling my classroom and saying, "Hey, you got, somebody from Penn State here to see you." Which was pretty cool because, he came in a suit and I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. So when I had my official visit, I made sure that I wore a suit too. And I remember Joe Pye actually commenting on it, like, I like the way you dress. I like the way you dress, right? But it was awesome. And I think it was the perfect choice. Obviously great academic school, great football program, and as you stated, fairly close to home. So that's how I ended up at Penn
How
State.
often did you visit Penn State growing up? I mean, you were close enough, Garry.
Not once. Not once. Yeah. I come to find out my dad was actually a Penn State fan. But my dad wasn't, super involved in my life. So I didn't really, I wasn't something that was brought up ever. So until I committed to Penn State, he was like, "Oh, I'm a Penn State fan." I was like, "Oh no, I didn't." Cool. But yeah, no, I never went up there growing up. I went to a private boarding school. So my life was in a bubble.
Milton Hershey, right. But I think you certainly learned to love the Penn State, didn't you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The culture there, everything, the program, is the fans, the students, everything. It's an amazing place.
So, Garry, you played at Penn State during, I think, what probably the understatement might be a turbulent time in our history. You did a great impersonation of Coach Joe Paterno. You mentioned that you played for him, but then you also played for Coach O'Brien. But let's talk about that period in between. 2011, you were on that team. You had the opportunity to transfer anywhere you wanted in the country. Talk about what kept you at Penn State.
I mean, that was a core value instilled in me actually from Milton Hershey, which is commitment to mission. You committed to a program to be there throughout your university years. No matter what's going on, you need to stick that out and stay committed to it. So that was kind of the main thing, aside from what was about to happen with sanctions or no sanctions or what they were going to be, if we're about to get the death penalty. I went to Penn State for more than just football. It was to get my degrees. It was to get an education. So if football was taken away, that was still going to be the path regardless. So, that's just the way I was brought up. So I was going to stay committed to that mission and make sure Penn State was, brought back to greatness. And I mean, we never went down, in all honesty. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Super. Well, let's switch gears for a minute, Garry, and talk about the bridge, which you're very passionate about. Can you share the overview of the bridge and what is your organization's mission and what kind of progress have you had so far?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, well, the Bridge is a for-purpose real estate development company, as Paul mentioned. And what we're doing is finding these schools, malls, warehouses. Schools are coming available a lot because a lot of public schools are condensing and are leaving these big, beautiful buildings that are smack dab in the middle of residential areas unattended, all around the country in a lot of different places. And in most cases, people don't really know what to do with those properties, so they end up either nothing being done with them or they get knocked down, which is unfortunate as well. um, so my team and I, we came up with this model of capturing and acquiring these properties. I'll speak specifically to schools, and converting them into eco villages. So what an eco village is a place where you can work, eat, live, learn, and play. So everything that you do in one day, you're doing it at this location. um, and the eco part of it comes from, one, converting an old building, and two, the way that we convert it. So solar panels, water collection, geothermal energy, building things that are going to be there to last and not just temporary places. Um, so as we capture these schools to convert them, work, eat, live, learn, play, and that work branch, that's co-working spaces, maker spaces, an opportunity for entrepreneurs and startups to come in, have incubation, accelerate their processes, um, and maker space to allow local community to come in and explore different things that they don't often get exposed to, where a 3D printer or what have you. And so that's the work branch. The eat branch is targeting food deserts. There's a lot of urban areas and a lot of areas that are food deserts that aren't urban as well. But targeting those areas and converting them from food deserts to a food oases by way of hydroponics and aquaponics. And what that means is growing food without soil. So misting the roots or having the roots submerged in water and providing the nutrients that way in a fully controlled environment. So in a greenhouse or in an indoor environment, controlling the temperature, controlling the light, what color light, what type of light, how much light, actually increases your yield tremendously. So on 1/3 of an acre, you can actually grow the same amount of food that a traditional farmer grows on 13 acres, and you can go vertical. So we can combine that with all the sustainability things that we're doing. You're able to produce enough food to feed upwards of 130,000 people from that same footprint. So specifically to Harrisburg, which is where our pilot site is at, the population of Harrisburg is just under 50,000. So able to produce enough food to feed 3 times that population, which is good because it allows you to then bring money from other areas into your city and supply fresh food and produce to them. A crazy stat: within just 3 days of your food being picked, just only 3 days, you lose 30% of its nutritional value. So places in Pennsylvania or up north, when we get into those winter months, is really bad. Not only do we live in food deserts, but then where's our food actually coming from? How far is it coming away? Um, it costs more. It's less sustainable. Um, and the when you're talking about the community and keeping the dollar within the community,
Sounds like you've been doing a lot of thinking about things other than football since you left the professional ranks.
it it wasn't it. So I was never one that was like, okay, I'm gonna focus on football or I'm gonna focus on this. I mean, I triple majored while playing football, and I've always been a nerd. So like, I never stopped learning. I was always looking at ways to solve problems, right? So that's the eat branch. So work, eat, live is housing. So attacking the very base level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So food, shelter, water, working up safety, security, love and belonging, self-esteem, self-actualization, right? Before we can get to what it means to be a man or a woman or an entrepreneur, we got to provide the base, right? Shelter, food, water. So housing is part of the bridge too. Affordable housing combined with luxury upper class housing. It's important for both of those to be together because one encourages the other, another one gets inspired by the other, and you create synergy again. So housing, work, eat, live, learn. I'll come back to learn, and play. So play is, unfortunately, in a lot of urban centers, you get kids driving dirt bikes and ATVs and shooting paintball guns and real guns and getting involved in very rambunctious things. And there's a direct correlation to not having an outlet. You got to have a place and a constructive place to have an outlet. So we need zip lines and trampolines and maybe a dirt bike course within the city limits, right? To have these people go to and drive. So providing those opportunities in that play space, concerts, heavy leaning to virtual reality and augmented reality when we talk about the future, as well as flexibility of a space. So that's work, eat, live, play. So learn is actually the nonprofit aspect of the bridge, which is the Empower at the Bridge Foundation, which actually supports all the other branches. So learn to work is teaching people how to, form their LLCs and write their business plans and put their pitch deck together. So when we bring investors in for a pitch competition, they know that you're up and you're ready, and you go in there and execute. Learn to eat, teaching people how to grow their own food. Don't just rely on us or somebody else to provide your food. Come learn as well. Come learn about nutrition. Come learn about the right ways to prepare your food and the way it interacts with your body, right? Learn to live is actually the formation of a local community real estate fund around each bridge location to allow the local community to invest in the bridge as a minority shareholder, membership units, as well as start to be the ones that are controlling the renovation of these properties around the cities. And you can be the ones that are owning those and then get the homeowners back into those to raise home ownership rates, which raises property values, which raises the funding that goes to our school. And that's the very base level that we got to get up. Our education levels need to raise, right? So that's learn to live. Learn itself is about job training. So getting people back involved with trades. So carpentry, electrician work, plumbing, right? People have gotten too good to make money with their two hands, but that's probably the most stable and most needed jobs that we need to really rebuild our cities.
Extremely comprehensive plan that you've got there. What kind of feedback have you been hearing from the community leaders and residents in the Harrisburg area?
100% behind it. We've gotten letters of support from the mayor, representatives from the governor's office. So it's very supported. The community, before we even bring the idea to the city, we talk to the community, figure out what the needs are in that local community. This isn't just a cookie cutter thing. Work, eat, live, learn, play is a general model, but the specific amenities and programs come from what that community needs. So the community super behind it. This school, specifically in Harrisburg, has been sitting there for about 7 years. So something needs to be done with it. And certainly something that's very productive and beneficial to the local community.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. You are able to stay in touch with some of your teammates through the bridge. We know Jordan Hill is involved. Talk about the work that he's doing for the bridge.
Yes. So as we populate different cities, we would like those local, athletes, if there are any from there, athletes, entertainers, influencers from those areas to partner with, to be the ones that interact with the community, right? So Jordan is a very prominent athlete in the Harrisburg area. So he was certainly one of the first people that we communicated with, aside from playing against each other in high school, playing together in college, and playing together in the pros. We're now working together with the bridge. And he's an outstanding asset for the team. He's our chief community officer. He's super tapped into the area and knows a ton of different people, and gets the job done, just as he did on the football field. So it's been a great partnership with Jordan.
Are there lessons that you learned at Penn State, Gary, that you think about and which guide you, especially with your work at the bridge?
I mean, I'm sure any routine or habit that I have, I could probably figure out that it's, somehow spawned from Penn State or Milton Hershey. I'll pinpoint one, being early. I think that's very important. And Joe Paterno time, right? If he told you to be there at 6 p.m., well, that means you better be there by at least 5:45 because the bus is gone. If you get there at 6, you're late, right? So I think that was definitely, I think just being mindful, planning ahead, like there's a lot of things that go into not just being on time, but being early. So I think that very important thing. Yeah.
The overall work ethic then follows up from that. Yeah.
Exactly. Kind of like making your bed in the morning, right? You set yourself up for success because you've accomplished one thing already. So get up, make your bed, and then, go brush your teeth and hit the rest of your day.
Mm-hmm. Gary, on your bio, it says that you're more than just an athlete. Why is that important for you to put that out there, and an important message for the community that you work in?
I think it's important for our culture. Yeah. I think oftentimes young Black men are told the only way that they're going to get out of their situations of poverty, you're either got to be an athlete, a rapper, or you're selling drugs, right? Well, selling drugs, you're dead or locked up. Rappers really don't make that much money. And in most cases, athletes are bankrupt within a few years of playing, right? So instead of just constantly funneling people down that route, which is, it's okay to be great athletes, but if you're a great athlete and you take those skills and that drive and that commitment and you gear it toward entrepreneurship, you're really unstoppable. So I think it's important for the culture. I think it's important for athletes. I think it's important for young individuals to realize that you can be great at more than one thing. And if you are great at one thing, your chances of just lining, that commitment, that, that drive, that attentiveness towards something else, you're going to be successful too. And
what's your future vision for the bridge? I mean, what exactly are you hoping to achieve over the next few years, shall we say?
Yeah, so our groundbreaking actually for our Harrisburg location is November 19th in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And we actually have a plan to hit 10 cities within 8 years.
Wow.
So if people want to learn more about the bridge or how they can be supportive of the work that you're doing, where could they find that information?
You can go to thebridge.com. And anything you need is there. If you want to communicate with us, you can contact us through the contact page. Follow us on all of our social media. Those links are at the bottom of the page. There's cool videos, goes into a little bit more depth about what we got going on. That's definitely the best way. And definitely follow us on social media.
Absolutely. And I think Mel has put the link in the chat box. And so if you're interested in checking out the bridge, go ahead and find that link in the chat box. Gary, that's all the time we have tonight on Football Letter Live, but we are so grateful that you have joined us, and just keep up the great work that you're doing for the Harrisburg area. It's great to have you back here and have you back in supporting the state.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Well, John, that was a great show tonight. Two guys who are having an impact on their communities. It's inspirational to go beyond the football field and hear the great work that they're doing.
Absolutely. They learn a lot of lessons at Penn State, both off the field and on. And when they can go out and make an impact in their local communities, and it's just a tremendous asset.
Absolutely. So before we go, we want to remind everybody, check out the Football Letter blog, thefootballletter.com, where we're featuring the 2005 team this week on the Football Letter blog. A great article out there, and you can see some bonus coverage, a great interview with Calvin Lowry out there. If you're a member of the Alumni Association, thank you so much for your support. If you're not a member, go out to our website at alumni.psu.edu. And you too can become a member of the world's largest alumni association. As we're wrapping up our time this evening, we can keep the conversation going on social media. Visit us on Facebook and let us know what about Penn State you're grateful. It's Thanksgiving's just around the corner, and we want to hear about what everyone is thankful for. You can use the hashtag FBL Live. That's hashtag FBL Live on Facebook or your other social media platforms. Some great programs coming up next week, 9 o'clock on Wednesday morning. We're going to talk to Chris Thomas. He's a principal team leader at Chick-fil-A. Additional information can be found on our website under the events tab at alumni.psu.edu. You can also find information about career resources and just a plethora of everything that we have going on here at the Penn State Alumni Association. John, it was good to see you tonight. Thanks as always for being here.
Thank you. And I'm going to be looking forward to that coffee with Chris Thomas next week too.
And we want to thank our guests. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Thanks for all you do for the university, for the glory, and for the future. We are
Penn State.